Okay, the link.
Okay. Here's the email as well. Save that. Oh, Dr. Bynum contacted me too. He wants to go.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be returning Bynum. It's got that pause there. All right. All right. Actually, let me do all this shit first. Edit. Just give us a second. We're going to get going. We are live. We're just going to be live on YouTube. Just give me a second so I can change this. Yes. If you want to start it out, I'm just going to do all the setting up, typing.
Peace, everybody. Greetings. Good day. Hello, hello, and hello. So we're gonna shoot. We're gonna talk about some Luciferian energy. We're gonna have someone else join a little later.
Heavy Cav.
Done to the one. Cost will be joining later. We're just going to talk about the Luciferian energy and tying it into today's events. Make sure my phone muted.
Give us a second while we get set up. It's kind of last minute thing. I'm just putting all the stuff in. All right.
Oh. And you, as you guys know, for readings, consultations, for the mentorship, right?
Yeah.
Program.
That's on the Patreon.
That's on the Patreon. canoe19@gmail.com. Patreon is /Beniti to join. There are live rituals there, classes are there. Get those questions and answer to things that you just haven't been able to get, you know. All right.
We're just getting set up. Just, you can keep talking.
Yeah, they kind of threw me off. What I was saying.
Talking about.
And so yeah. It's jamming. You know, it's hard to focus on a jam.
I'll turn that off. Hold on, this sound. I forgot that was on.
Focus on the jam. Jamming over here.
Hang tight, people. Hang tight. Almost there.
Instagram page, Primordial Chaos, the number 9. Facebook, Primordial Chaos, right?
Yeah.
Facebook, you know, once a month, every Friday, there's the hip hop.
First Friday of the month.
First Friday of the month.
Last show was really good if you missed it. Remember, that show is on the Primordial Chaos Facebook page. We don't do it here because we play music, and YouTube's got this fuckery bullshit with the copyright shit. So by going on to the Primordial Chaos Facebook, we are able to
just play the music.
Play the music and not have to worry about that. So definitely, if you haven't been able to check any of those shows out as of yet, it's fun, especially if you're into music. And I'm still waiting for the first female artist to send some music. Who's going to be the one to break that ground? We got nobody yet. Not one female yet.
Female artists, female producers, where y'all at? I know it's some out there.
I know. I don't know where they at. Apparently they ain't coming. Somebody got to break the mold. Oh, shit. Almost there. Just do all this now. Saves time later. Okay. I get it right. Okay.
So hope everybody's been great. Your family great.
9th. Yeah, exactly. All right. We are good. All right. Let me just send this link, and then we are in business.
This is in the house. There's a class on August 15th, right?
Yeah, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna go through all that. All right. So what we got here? All right, we're just gonna give it a minute for some more people to come in. I got everything set up. It was a last minute thing, so infernal blessings to some of you guys who are here. Atlas Ali, Jeremy Ash, Kayla Z.
Does Jeremy or?
There's a couple of Jeremys. I'm not sure. I know there's a few Jeremys. I'm not familiar with the last names. All right, and then let me send this link to. I'm gonna have also Kev swing by. Let me send him the invite.
Kevin.
He should be here. He's stuffing his face right now. That's his email. I just want to make sure that's the right one. And I think we are ready.
Right?
Yeah, but that should be it. But you know, motherfuckers be changing their emails all the time. I can't keep up with people's shit. Where is it? That's it. Yeah, that's it. All right. All right, we're good to go. We're good to go. Close that window. All right, we got people coming in. All right, so just to run through real quick. Just Jack, I'm gonna send you the link, brother.
Hey, Jack.
I didn't know you was free, man. Because I got Kev coming in. If you want to swing in. So let me go ahead.
Get on the chopper.
Get to the chopper now. Doing this on Jack, if you're listening, I'm sending the link to your email right now if you want to come in. I didn't know you was free, brother. I thought you was busy. So let me send that shit to you right now, okay? So if you want to come in, man, fly in on the chopper.
Okay.
All right, I just sent it to you, brother. All right, just real quick, I'm just going to run through some quick announcements. I know you heard Raven talking about some of the classes. Again, I know she mentioned all the social media platforms. You can keep abreast there. That's why we throw that out there. As far as, as you know, months back, I stopped doing email lists. I don't do that no more because with all these platforms, it's so easy to just post. So if you want to stay abreast on any classes, events, rituals, the Patreon page, to me personally, the best is the Instagram Primordial Chaos 9. It is also posted on the Primordial Chaos Facebook, but just in case you don't have one of the other platform or you don't use it, and also right here on YouTube in the community section, it lists all the events, classes. It just makes it easier rather than have to people email me and have to respond back on an individual level. So you don't need to email me about upcoming classes. Unless you're having an issue signing up or something to that effect. So stay up on those platforms. I did post the other day, we have a new class for next month. I believe, I can't remember the damn date.
I get it.
And we have a Patreon class this week. I think it's the 15th of August. I could be wrong.
It's the 15th of August.
Right? Is that right?
Yep.
All right, so August 15th. Saturday, August 15th, 3 to 6:30 p.m. We're doing a class on the many masks of Lucifer and how to self-initiate yourself into the mysteries of the light bearer. That is a whole separate thing that has nothing to do with Patreon, because sometimes people from Patreon email me, is that included in the Patreon? No. These are open events I do for anybody that can just sign up for that one-time event. Again, just to stress, please, when you sign up, for the class, it is $55. It's 3.5 hours, 3 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I have to reiterate, like I put in the post, please include your name and the correct email address where you want the link to go to, because People use other people's PayPal, or it's a different email address, and then I get the day of the class, I didn't receive the link. I'm automatically going to send it to whatever the PayPal is. You would think it's common sense, but fortunately it's not. So please, in the PayPal notes, when you send your payment to sign up for the class, include your name and your email address. All right. So that's coming up on the 15th. For those who are Patreon members, this week, Saturday, we have the Black Flame of Set class, which is for tiers 3, 4, and 5. You have to be tier 3, 4, and 5 to be a part of that class. And then 2 weeks from now, 2 Saturdays from now, we have the Kali mantra ritual that we will be doing. And again, that's only for Patreon members, tier 2, 3, 4, and 5. I would encourage you to check out the Patreon page if you have not. Again, patreon.com/Beniti. Everything I'm telling you is in the description box, the email address, the Patreon, the Facebook, the Instagram, and all that good shit. All right, so that's the upcoming events, classes, and rituals. Again, everything is posted. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel here on YouTube too.
Hit the notification bell.
That's how you get, yes. Don't forget that.
Don't forget the thumbs up.
Yeah, please send the likes and the thumbs up. That expands the channel. All right, I'll check back on this. I did send a link to Jack and Kevin. I'll check back on that.
All right.
The downside, see what we got going on here. All right, so this was kind of a last minute thing. We do this once in a while when we're able to. So we got Raven here in the building. So we want to talk about Luciferian energy. All right. The what it's not and what it is. All right. And kind of tie it into everything that's going on. You see we've talked about, the nonsense you got going on all over the place right now. And it's important that we draw upon what Luciferian principles represent, because that's going to eliminate a lot of the nonsense. Okay. And the problem is we have a lot of nonsense going on right now. A ton. All right, actually, let me see if I could just slide this over. All right, I'll keep that screen up, and I can keep both of them up like that until I see the invite. All right. First of all, again, as I said before, there's many different perceptions out there on what one calls the occult left-hand path. And by all means, as I said many times before, I'm not in no shape, form, or fashion trying to enforce my personal ideology, my perspective. So having said that, I need to put that out there because I want everybody that watches this channel, everybody that sees the recording of these videos after they upload, to be motivated to do your own research and come to your own conclusions, okay? I can only express and say what's on my mind via my experiences and through my work, which that is not always going to translate and connect with everybody, and then yet it will connect also with many people. All right, being what one would term, using the concept Luciferian, which obviously has root in the word Lucifer, the light bearer, is one who's constantly seeking intellect or light. Right, that would be what we would equate to knowledge, right? Intellect or knowledge. But we have a lack of that right now with everything that's going on, obviously in the world and the news. And right now, more than ever, in my personal opinion, we need to draw upon that wisdom.
Greatly.
Exactly.
A lot.
There's something you want to add?
Oh, you like that.
So,
no, just to piggyback. But
yeah.
You're right. It's like and the sad thing is that people have all the time in the world to enlighten themselves,
right,
because of a lot of places not open. Even if you're still working, you might not be working full time, maybe working part time, but there's not a place that you can go because they're shutting everything down, right? So what are you doing in that time, in that space, to try to
get your shit together,
get it together, gain wisdom, get centered?
There's a lot of misinformation out there right now. And again, I don't want to turn this into I want to talk more about solutions and more about using approaches to correct things. So I don't want to turn this into a COVID thing. We all know what's going on with COVID, right? We all know the mind control and the fuckery that's going on, and either you're a slave or a victim to it, or you're actually taking the initiative to make your life better and not being sidetracked by it. Now, I'm saying all that to say, I'm not coming out here like these conspiracy theorists. Again, we've talked a million times before, and I ain't gonna waste my time on that again. There is a virus, there's something out there, whether you believe it's man created, whether you believe whatever. We do know that they're doing some bullshit. And it's just as simple as just doing the basic necessary normal things, which I always find funny. Like all of a sudden washing your ass becomes a, thing you should have been doing that shit before this. I laugh because I'm like, so wait a minute.
They got to tell you, wash your hands.
They got to tell you to wash your ass and wash your hands. And so what? You was coming in the house with stank, dirty, soiled clothes and not showering every day.
Jumping into bed.
And I mean, it's just, the mind fuckery is mind boggling. But what I am saying is, and then we'll move on, because again, I want to turn this into a COVID thing. We have to establish we're in that transitional stage. This is a new era, a new day, a new time. The old way, when it talks about, and this is why fucking religious people got it confused, because there's a lot of fanatics, religious fanatics out there now trying to use what's going on and tie it into biblical quotes and false Bible narratives. And as I said before, the Bible is the type of book you can pull out. You can go to any book and pull out a quote and fit it to what's, You got to be careful of that. What they don't understand when it's talking about the world coming to an end as we know it, okay? That's why I did a video a while back called, is there a such thing as the end? The answer is no. Because this what we know as existence is constantly going through cycles. We are approaching or are at the end of what we call one of the many cycles that have taken place through what we know or calculated, what we think is time. So the world as we know it is ceasing to exist, meaning we're approaching a new era, a whole new existence. Now, you can look at this two ways. You can look at this if you're stuck in your old ways or you're stuck in old paradigms, old ways of thinking, then it's going to be torturous for you. It's going to be a struggle for you to grasp that. It's going to be hard for you to understand it because you've never really planned, or you've never prepared yourself, or you've never taken, quote unquote, your level of spirituality to another level. You still have a religious understanding of it. You're still trapped in faith and belief. And sometimes you can fool yourself by, as I said before, there are many people who claim to be practicing what we call Apotheosis, which is self-deification as a Luciferian, or being on the path of the occult or the left-hand path. And essentially that's what it's about. But they might be saying that with their tongue, but their actions show something else. They're still doing traditional nonsense.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. So to that whole point, so I don't, how can they reconcile that within themselves? I know the reason why I say that is because my background is Christian, right? So so when I do certain things, or like if I'm getting ready to go into some work, something like that,
right?
You can feel it. You can feel that creep in of religion. Even if you're talking with someone, you can feel that creep in of religion. So what is the disconnect, or what is going on with individuals that say they are occult, but they are religious in mind?
That's a really good question. And just from observing, and I always use the word observing, because remember, we're master observers. We don't just watch. You can watch something, but without observing it, you could still be clueless to what's going on. And remember, as observers, these are things we pay attention to, right? I think it's a combination of a multitude of things. I think one, the main reason is they don't recognize it or see it because it's a comfort thing for them to feed their insecurities and their fears. Meaning, I think what differentiates this path, especially when it comes to different ethnicities or melanated people, people of color who are from different ethnicities and backgrounds, I think they struggle because there's not that comfort of connecting, that Afrocentric connection that they're so used to, right? Because a lot of people who might be Black, Latino, Asian, or of different mixed ethnicities, they leave Christianity. Most people, before they came on this path, they usually stumbled into some path of consciousness, whether it's the Kemetic thing, whether it's the Ifa thing or the Santeria thing, whatever you want to call it. And as I said many times before, from my own experience, basically it's Christianity dipped in chocolate. So there's still that monotheistic worshiping something or somebody, this supreme God or being. If you really, again, observe the practices of those traditional paradigms, it's just what they basically did was they left Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, and they replaced it with Ifa, Santeria, etc. So I think it's a lack of being able to connect, because really when you look at this path, especially the path of a Luciferian and Luciferian energy or the occult left-hand path, it's not limited to any of those things. So if you're looking to connect with something specifically you have in mind culturally, that's going to fuck you up, because all this information predates any of those established religions.
So what they do is, like, for instance, they would take Shingo, Ogun, some other paradigm, somebody else, even Lucifer for that, all that matters, right? They would take that and say, they want to do some work, they want to do a ritual, but they look at it as if they were in reverence.
Yeah.
Right? They don't look and say, well,
but they don't see it though, but yeah.
They don't see it. Instead of just going into like, I want to do some work with this energy, and I'm going to see it in me though. I'm doing this work to activate it in me. I'm not going to just go to Ogun and he's going to manifest, so that energy is going to manifest me a job, because I am propagating to Ogun. That's right. True. Instead of saying I'm going to take these energies, Ogun energy is of workman, if I remember right, workmanship, working.
Right, but it's about you activating the Ogun energy that exists within you. See, what tends to happen is, in those structures, it's no different when you approach Ogun, Obatala, Yemayao, Shun. It's no different the way they do it in traditional Ifa and Santeria than a Christian does the same thing in church, whether it's Jesus, God, the saints, the Blessed Virgin Mary. You're approaching them with this worship mentality as if they're an external force that resides outside yourself.
So it's hard for them to flip that switch off, like I was saying earlier with Christianity. So it's hard for them to
turn
flip
it off.
And so what they need to do, right? Isn't that self-work? Then aren't we back to trying to find that knowledge, your own enlightenment, like your own light?
But the whole point, especially with working with Luciferian energy, is releasing all old ways, and people can't do it. Old ways of thinking. What I'm trying to tell you is, what this virus should be doing to you guys is letting you see that definitely something is up and it's causing a change. Now, let me focus real quick on, real fast. I recently watched a video, whether you agree with him or not, shit's irrelevant. Louis Farrakhan did an address to the Nation of Islam on the 4th of July. All right. Some of it was religious. I couldn't really connect with it, but he was saying something that did make sense. Now, what I didn't agree with, he was using biblical quotes to kind of validate the prophetic prediction of the virus. There's a million quotes in the Bible that talk about pestilence, and so you got to be careful with that. But he did say something that is unique. Now, his spin on it was that this is a pestilence sent from on high. That's a little religious.
But the one thing that he did say made sense. This is, it's like it has its own level of consciousness, because people can't figure it out, quite put their handle on it, right? It almost as if it's a living, thinking entity or its own intelligence. And it seems like when you put that into its context or perspective, the only way you can really grasp and understand that is by understanding yourself. Because when you start tapping into those levels of it, fear kicks in, fear of the unknown, fear of not understanding, what's going on, fear of what possibly could happen. Look, nobody's guaranteed to see tomorrow. That's just a reality. So you can't live your life like that, okay? What we do know is we haven't seen anything like this for a long time. So this should be a wake-up call, because here's the bottom line. There is no Ogun coming to help you. There is no Shango or Batala. There is no Yeshua, Jesus, Heru.
Aliens.
Aliens ain't coming back to help you right now, okay? There is no God, Allah, Jehovah, okay? Because all your gods have abandoned you. Because these same people that are screaming bloody murder, that this is a virus of retribution from whatever deity or God you believe in, is also confirmation your God hasn't even protected you from it. So before you make an ignorant ass statement like that, think about what you're saying. Because you hear all these people and all these conscious platforms talking a bunch of fucking nonsense, like the ancestors are coming to do it. The ancestors are doing it. Shango's going to do this. Oya's going to do it. But your Shango, your Oya, and your ancestors, you're still in harm's way. You don't have 100% immunity, guaranteed protection. And the only thing you really need to do is educate yourself, because the only God that can help you is you. So you can sit there and convince yourself in your mind some spook God is going to come back and assist you. I don't care about what name you call it, is irrelevant to me. I don't care, again, if you're calling it Ogun, Obatala, Shango, Yeshua, Heru, it's irrelevant. Because you still are showing that your lack of understanding of what it is to be a true Luciferian. Those are aspects of your psyche that reside within you. And as I said many times before, we're not trying to worship Shango. We're trying to become a Shango. There's a big difference in that. We're not trying to worship Ogun. We're trying to become like an Ogun. We're not trying to worship Lucifer. We're trying to embody what Lucifer represents, the overall perfected level of harmony of light and darkness simultaneously. Okay? Hold on. So what do we got? All right, we'll get to the questions in the chat in a little bit. Just trying to wait for the.
Put your
There we go.
email in there.
Huh?
Put the Patreon in there, because I can see you do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put. Well, it's in the description box of the
That's
video.
it. People are special.
Yeah. Oh, damn! I gotta edit that. The email is wrong. I got 192.
I don't have my glasses on. You have your glasses on.
I can go in there.
So yeah, that's what I struggle to understand, how people, I heard a saying that what this virus has created is cognizant dissonance. It just made people just really dumb. Just really dumb.
Not pay attention to the facts. Look, as I said all before, there's many people out there talking about it. There's many videos you can pull up. This is all, again, about global domination and control. It's that simple. There was a recent video, and I think we posted it. Yeah, I posted it in your story on the IG page. Actually, Raven found it. What's going on here?
No idea.
And hold on, I gotta go back. There we go. And I posted it on the IG. And the gentleman that's doing the video, I don't know his name, but I would suggest you guys go watch it. He brought up, we were talking about a few weeks back how the social distancing, keeping 6 feet, is a tactic they use in the military, because when soldiers are out on the battlefield or they're running a mission, they have an RF chip either on their equipment or somewhere attached to them, which gives the ability for the base commanders to track them at all times. All right. And they've been training us now for 4 months to stay 6 feet apart. So again, this is my theory and research, and I'm in agreement with a lot of people that have put that information out there. That's just my conclusion. I'm not saying you need to accept this. This guy took it a step further, which I didn't even think of. He was also saying on that radar and technology, they have technology where they can scan your face, even if it's partially covered.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing that to see if that technology works. Can they still get a description of your face, even when it's partially covered? So what I'm saying is
an experiment, it's an experiment.
Mhm.
Everything is, this whole couple of months here, it's all been about them experimenting with their tools to see what they can do, to see who's compliant, who's not compliant.
Mhm.
Okay, to see how they can better their technology and to keep you confused and under law. I like how he pointed out the fact that, you know, staying home, being forced to stay home, is almost like martial law. He was pointing, I've said that too for a while.
Don't call it social distancing, call it social lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Because they ain't where, you know, all of it is a level of prison and confinement. And then I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of Black Lives Matter people supporters off. Which, first of all, one, we got to stop getting into semantics of what the disease is, where it came from. We should be past that by now.
Exactly.
Because that's what they want you to do, is debate and argue that nonsense, which is fucking pointless at this point. Because as I said before, we're all the 5G people. Where they all bail to. I don't hear nobody talking about the 5G conspiracy that everybody was dick riding in March and April, right? Where's that at? How come nobody's talking about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's block that. You might want to. Yeah, we don't want to deal with the assholes.
I ain't got better time to.
Yeah. You just got some fools in the chat talking about, I hope he dies from it. Then go ahead, go die from it. Matter of fact, we'll speed up the process and boot your ass out. My whole point is the 5G people have disappeared. You don't hear them talking about it no more, right? Because that conspiracy theory was proven wrong. I keep saying, stop focusing on those nonsensical things. And you should be focusing on, as I said before, this is all a plan for global domination and control. It's a bigger agenda. Listen, if this was what they were saying it is, until you see presidents and politicians and rich white folks jetting out of here, out of space, then you know something's really going down. The very fact that these motherfuckers ain't going nowhere, they got a bigger plan, a bigger agenda. And I keep telling people that, stop getting caught up in the hype. Now, for all the Black Lives Matter people, you have no fucking clue what's going on. Go do the research who funds Black Lives Matter. Corporations like Cisco, Elon Musk. Ask yourself, why would rich white folks fund an organization that's trying to take down, quote unquote, white society? Did you ever ask yourself that question?
No, they haven't. Because when I post little stuff about where that money goes that you're donating to, you know, I've got pushback on it. I did the research. I love learning. I love finding out new information. So I'll listen to and go look, search, seek, and find, and ye shall find. And that's what they say. Okay. But that money, they have already said that how Joe Biden's campaign then increased. All of a sudden he got 119 mil, came out of nowhere. But I'm just a conspiracy theorist because I show how that money that you're donating to goes to fund these organizations. You know, I don't want to get into the whole Black Lives Matter. I think it's a farce.
No,
I think
it is.
I think when Black people support it, it's a farce. When you guys was talking, I think the last time, I think we had Kev and everybody on. I'm going to say it and say it again. Change start with you, then in your own community. Nobody can affect that. It's a whole mind thing. You want the right politician in place, you choose the right somebody with the right frame of mind that thinks like you.
Again, the Black Lives Matter movement is funded by these rich white folks to create anarchy and chaos. That's it. That's it.
Hand over fist.
And if
while
you
you're
don't,
sitting up there, can't feed your family.
if you don't see that, you're sipping the Kool-Aid. You can go out there and march with your little cardboard boxes. I can't breathe. You're playing right into these folks' hands because it ain't bringing about no real change. Okay. They want to pacify you and tear down monuments, rename play. Who gives a fuck? That's not going to bring any change or power. Remove the Confederate flag and people putting their chest out. And now it's this take Aunt Jemima off the pancake box. All this stupid ass shit. That's not where power and change come from. Look what just happened in Atlanta this past weekend, right? Let me show you how the Black Lives Matter movement, you have to thank for that, by the way. For all you guys that live in Atlanta and the city calling in the National Guard, 100 National Guard troops.
Y'all fell right into the plan.
You were screaming, defund the police, right? Hooting and hollering, get rid of the police. We don't want the police in our neighborhood. Guess what? The police stopped coming to your neighborhood, okay? And guess what happened? People didn't know how to act. They started shooting and killing each other where innocent children got killed this past weekend. Then I saw some clown on the news crying, ain't no police presence here in our neighborhood. Ever since the brother that got shot in the Wendy's parking lot, we don't see no police. But you were the same people hooting and hollering. You didn't want the police around. I don't agree with totally eliminating the police. That's wrong. I don't care if you like that or not.
Ask a woman whose child just got snatched and missing. You know what I mean?
Right. Unless you have a plan to replace the police department. And obviously they don't in Atlanta. And then you got people posting this video of that group, that black militant group that was marching in Stone Mountain, right outside of Atlanta. Why didn't somebody enlist them to go police?
Well, why wouldn't they over there policing?
Or over
why
there
they over there worried about what's going on with the KKK?
Because we're doing things for show on the camera. We're doing things to feed our ego on the camera. No real work is being done. The only time you think real work is being done when the camera's on and somebody's holding up, I can't breathe, or Black Lives Matter. It's all for show. It's all for the camera. Okay? And it's all fake and it's all bullshit. And it's all funded by these same rich white folks that these people claim they're trying to take over. The very government they claim they're trying to overthrow is the very system they're supporting and keeping going. They just don't realize it. Okay? So now they call in the National Guard in Atlanta, in Georgia. The governor made the decision on his own, okay? Because he feels like he can't handle the situation. Now, let me ask you a question, people. Put yourself, I'm not talking about in a corrupt cop's position. Put yourself into, and don't front like there's no legitimate cops out there. Not every cop is corrupt, all right? Stop that bullshit. If you were a cop who did his job, and you got a 911 call into an area where they were throwing bottles at you, said they didn't want you. I know if I got that call, I'm sitting there, I'm gonna be munching on my Krispy Kremes and my coffee. I'm like, fuck that, I get there when I get there. Okay, because you just were hooting and hollering, you don't want the police around, defund the police, get rid of them, we don't want them in our neighborhood. And then when violence pops off, now you got these same people on TV crying, where's the police presence? It doesn't work like that, you can't have it both ways, okay? And if you don't want the police, that's not the issue I have, but the issue I have is what plan do you have in place to replace it? Somebody has got to keep a certain level of authority because knuckleheads are going to use this as a personal agenda to hide behind.
Knuckleheads do.
And that's just reality. Okay? So I ain't down with all that, get rid of the police, until you show me you have your own police force, which can be done. But nobody was thinking that. So what is it going to take now? For more innocent children to get killed? For more violence? And who you can't blame the white man for that. You said you wanted the police gone, they're gone. So now you got fools killing fools. And look.
The innocent babies getting trapped in it.
And as I said, right, where's Al Sharpton? Where's the Black Lives Matter movement? And somebody threw this one. Well, the Black Lives Matter movement is not about black on black crime. It's about racism.
Black Lives Matter, the statement.
That's my whole point. Isn't the slogan Black Lives Matter? So
it doesn't say Black Lives Matter.
Only when it's affected by racism. So how come nobody's out there making a stink about all the black on black crime that goes on? If it Black Lives Matter does, so you're saying it's okay if a black person kills another black person, they get a pass? So black lives don't matter when a black person kills a black person?
Only when the white person does.
But
Hispanic person, Chinese.
But you best believe that that one girl that they promoted all in the news, a little girl that got shot in Atlanta, if a white cop had did that, all the clowns would have been over there. Al Sharpton would have been over there. Ben Crump, getting his money would have been over there. Everybody would have been hooting and hollering, screaming racism, right? I ain't seen not one black life. No, nobody spoke about it. So what is the movement really about? Is it really about Black Lives Matter, or is it about creating anarchy and chaos so that we can bring in martial law, just like the governor of Georgia just did? And I told you guys this a long time ago, okay? I mentioned this a long time ago. Their goal and objective is to put society into such a chaotic state where we show that we can't govern and rule ourselves, and that just opens the door to do what the governor in Georgia did. That's place one. If we keep up this mentality, then there'll be a next phase. Who knows where that would be, okay? So we got to get out, stop falling for what they're promoting on the surface, okay? If I've said a million times before, whatever it is they're showing on the surface, that's never is what it is. I don't care what you think, what you believe. But it never is what it is. So shifting now a bit, Luciferian energy, okay? It's about self-deification. It's about taking responsibility for your own actions. It's about designing and laying out your own path of self-mastery, not a path that's been previously laid out for you. Why do you think, and it's not that I'm attacking it or that we're attacking it. Why do you think I keep saying you got to let the old ways go? The reason why people are struggling and are going to fall victims and be a statistic and a number, because they're still stuck in the old shit. Them ways are done. Again, the ancestors are not coming back to do shit for you. There's something that Raven sent on it to the Instagram page. I'm going to repost that too. You got people now making little miniature like doll houses, calling them ancestor houses. You can put them on your ancestor altar. It's a good hustle. I give the sister credit. It's a good hustle. But it's this type of nonsense why we can't grasp what's going on, because we still want to be in the worship mode. We don't worship our ancestors, people. We acknowledge them. They are us, we are them. You can't worship who you are by blood. How many times I got to tell you that?
Right.
That doesn't sink in.
But it still lends to, well, so how can they, okay, I'm so stuck. I've been, for years, I'm at my altar, just worshiping myself, okay? I'm worshiping. How do they need to maybe just tear that altar down, build a new to help switch the mind?
Structure it different.
Restructure.
Yes. Yes.
To help, get out that old paradigm?
Yes. No, it's a good question. You should have a connection with your ancestors as a communication tool, as a tool of guidance. And we do work with our ancestors on this path, more connected to a necromancy aspect of it, where we connect that with the spirits of the dead, where we bridge that gap between this realm and what one would call, I'm using terms that people are familiar with, the realm of the dead. We don't sit there and take fake ass money and burn it and say it's ancestral money. Think about this. I said it before in the past, I'm gonna say it again. Think how fucking ignorant you have to be to go take real money, real physical money that in your country, in your currency, holds some value, whether that value is to get gas for your car, purchase groceries, buy something. You're gonna take that real money and pay somebody to give you fake money so you can burn the fake money to get real money. Think of the mind fuckery of that for 1 minute. Let me say it again in case you missed it, because I feel some people missed it, or somebody that's gonna watch this later gonna miss it. People that, and by the way, that's an Asian custom that I mentioned many times before in the past. It has nothing to do with African spirituality or African spiritual tradition. It's something that was grafted in. There are people out there who sell fake money called ancestral money that people take their real money to buy so they can burn to get blessings and more money. I don't get it.
But you know what that reminds me of when you stated that? You burnt all that real hundreds.
Oh, yeah. Now, yes, I'll just
That's
speak.
different.
No, but I'll speak. That's a good point. I'm just going to speak vaguely. Last year, we were up in Tampa, and it was something that we had an event, and we were doing a ritual where the ritual was centered around each person. Let me just show you.
This is a good example.
Each person had to offer kind of something or release something of themselves. So one individual struggled with maybe controlling his intake of what he used his money for. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get into depth. Now, he took real $100 bills out of his pocket and burned them. Who would do that? Are you that devoted to your ancestors that you would hit? Let me show you the fuckery. I'm saying this because
it was bills, not bill.
Bills, $100 bills, real United States $100 bill currency. He burned them because that was the only way he could release and connect with the ritual. You want to know why most of the fuckers that do this fake ancestral money shit won't do that? Because they're going to take $20 maybe of their real money to buy a bunch of fake money and think they're gonna burn it and it's gonna get them a bunch of money. So I've always posed a question: why not just use the real money that you have? What makes it special? And I've seen the ads. Oh, I've charged people that are claiming it. Let me show you the fuckery. Claim they've charged it up with a special power. Well, how can somebody else charge up your money of your ancestors and then out of your bloodline, but they're gonna fucking tell you some fuckery that they can charge it up? Stop, man. Stop. This is the idiotic mind state. Until we let all of that shit go, nothing's ever going to change, people. Okay? Nothing's ever going to change. Okay? Anyway, yeah. So look, yeah. Then there's probably somebody out there. You might go, well, I've done it, and it worked. Yeah, it worked because you infused it with your own intent. It only works by the power of personal belief, not religious belief. You just use it as a tool. You could have used monopoly money and that shit could work if you charge it the right way.
There you go. So,
okay? Yeah. I'm just trying to tell you, if you think somebody else is going to do it all for you and you're going to take $20 to buy $500 ancestor money or $50 to buy $200 ancestor, and then you think by burning it you're doing something spiritual or deep, you are a bona fide ass clown. It's the only way I can describe it. Bona fide ASS clown. And the only person that's profiting is the fool that's selling you the fake money.
Yeah, they getting them real dollars in their pocket.
Ask them, why they burn the fake ancestral money to get money? Why they got to sell fake money to get real money? We don't think like that, though. And again, I've asked many people before to show me where that practice comes from. And they're going to have to go back to Asian culture. It's an Asian custom. When the Asian bury their dead, they burn money as a show of honor and reverence and respect to their ancestors. But somehow this got grafted into, here in the West, a lot of these traditional systems. So, look. The point is, working with Luciferian energy or apotheosis, right? Or apotheosis, however you want to pronounce it, is about self-deification. Not self-deification in the sense of how they indoctrinate us with monotheism. We ain't talking about that spook God that doesn't exist. That's not, when we say we strive to be a god or a goddess on this path, the path of self-mastery. See, the people that don't understand it, that get mad, they think we're talking about their old man in the sky God concept. That's fictitious. All we're saying is, when we say to become a god or a goddess, to self-deify yourself is to take responsibility for your destiny, for your actions, your successes, your failures. That's all it means. We don't blame nobody for what's going on. We don't sit around, even what's going on in the world right now, we don't sit around bitch, moan, and complain, because at the end of the day, we know that's not going to do anything. What we do is we become proactive.
Proactive. You get a game plan together. You do your best to execute that game plan. It's okay to have a little hesitancy. It's okay. That's human. But you work through it. You don't get stuck in
Like
it.
Chuck.
You work through it. It's not trying to sound like the bee's knees, the know-it-all.
No, but
yeah.
the key is in that word, to know. The word know has root in the word knowledge, right? What cures 90% of this ignorance is to be aware, to have knowledge of it. The only way the paradigm changes, even with everything that's going on in the world, if we would change our approach by educating ourselves the right way, we wouldn't fall for this nonsense. But people still, as they see things being destroyed around them, and they will be resurrected and rebuilt, they want to stick to the old ways. And the old ways don't work no more. They serve their purpose at that time and at their point. That's the other problem that a lot of people who claim to be in schools or levels of consciousness, they want to live in the past. They want to play Egyptian, and they want to play African, and they want to wear dashikis, and they want to say Alafia and Hotep, and they want to talk about how great we used to be. Well, I'll tell you what.
Use that and become great now. How about that?
Right. And it's not going to do anything for you right now. That's the whole point. It's not going to do anything. Okay? Because whether you believe in 1,000,000 Egyptian gods, 1,000,000 Ifa or Santeria gods, they've all abandoned you. Because everybody's in harm's way of what's going on in the world. And here's the other thing I said. Then you got all the other nutheads that spring up from everywhere talking about the ancestors told him that this is what the coronavirus is. The ancestors said this. The ancestors said that.
Where was the ancestors 9 months to a
That's
year
my whole
ago?
point. I got a download. They told me this. Oh, this is the message I got. But none of these ancestors or spirits could have told you before the virus showed up. Everybody's an expert after.
That's a hustle.
That's a big time hustle. But the people that fall for it are the people that want to so desperately follow something or somebody because they're too weak and ignorant to stand on their own two legs and afraid. Okay? So we got to stop. All this stuff has to stop. Being and working with Luciferian energy is completely the opposite of that. Okay? So people get confused. They go, well, what's the difference? You guys talk about Lucifer and all these other archetypes, we call them, not deities. And I said before, we don't worship them. We access them at certain levels of consciousness that exist within our subconscious mind. They're used only as activation points because we all have what they represent and what they embody exists within us. The only way you activate that is by changing everything that we're talking about. So you can set up an elaborate shrine to any deity you want. It might look nice, it might make you feel fuzzy and warm. That's cool. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really hold no weight. Because
that's all it is.
Right. And then for the ones that I know, well, you know, I've been doing this and now you get results. You get results because your personal faith and belief in it is what creates the results. Regardless if you give credit to something outside of yourself. I'm not saying it don't work. What I'm saying is look at it in its totality. There's a reason why you think it works if you're stuck in that level of thinking. But when you look at it from a broader perspective, you will see at the end of the day, it was always you. Okay? It was always you. Now ask yourself this, if you've left religion, here's a way to understand what I just said if you're confused. A lot of us came from the 3 major monotheistic religions, a lot of us, whether it was Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, right? We left those and we came into whatever we left that into and then got to where we are now. Now, regardless of what level you were at before you got or those paths ran its course and you didn't feel a connection with them no more. You had multiple reasons you were motivated to leave and move on to something else. At some point, even in the early stages, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, I never believed in that stuff, which is a bunch of bullshit. You did have some level of belief, whether it was for a short period of time or not, or even gauge it to somebody else you know. Think about this for a minute, okay? Does God or the devil, I'm saying from a religious perspective, do we need God more, or does God need us more to validate the concept of God? Think about that for a minute. Without the devil and without followers to worship God, there would be no need for God, okay? Because that's what the whole precept is built on. So if you were in those religions and you left and you're doing something along this path, getting greater results, what does that say for that mindset back then? Because now when you go back and review and you look at it, you say, well, hold on. Were my prayers really being answered, or was it my personal faith in belief? Like they say, you could pray so hard, right, that you can get the outcome that you're achieving. But what was fueling that prayer? What was giving energy to that intent? It was your personal power. People don't grasp that. This is what we have to look at. Now take that same concept, and this is how we use that same concept and how we work with archetypes on this path. We're connecting with the consciousness and the energy that the archetype represents, not worshiping it. No real occultist or left-hand path practitioner worships anything, let alone Lucifer, whatever title you want to give it, Satan, right? There's one thing we're always told in many systems: we don't bow down and worship anything, okay? You bow down to nothing or no one, because then you surrender your divinity, okay? And people confuse that, okay? Or I should say they have a lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah. That's easy. Just with all the information that is out there. And the majority of when I started on this path, it was about that. It was about everything outside of you. It was nothing, even all over YouTube, there's like really nothing to help you understand where you need to start to clean out, that it wasn't lending another lens of some type of religion. Because on YouTube, I don't care what it is, majority of it, that's what you see. It's all this religious stuff. It's hard to find a true Luciferian person, a true one, because I ran across some that still sound religious, to help people get off that, get out of that mindset. So that's why I was saying,
right,
you know, maybe they need to, I think you had used that example one time before too. I don't know if it was about ancestral altar, but it's just about altars and period.
right.
Maybe just need to tear that stuff down and start anew, because maybe that'll help shift them consciously and get them rethinking about things differently.
Yeah.
Because everything should be about you. You're the one that has to do the work. You the one have to, I don't understand it. But you just sit back and think, what, $1 million gonna fall in your pocket? You think that your new job gonna come, your new man, woman gonna come simply because you was sitting down somewhere or standing somewhere?
As I said before, if you always start, step one is knowledge of self. If you don't have knowledge of self, you don't have anything.
And that's knowledge of self, okay? Because that has been my whole deal, right? So knowledge of self, you have gone through, no matter how long you have lived, you have had a multitude of a million experiences that has affected you, whether you realize it or not. And it plays into how you perceive yourself at this very moment. It has a lens in it. So to know yourself, you have to know yourself emotionally, not what you think you are emotionally. You have to know it. You have to know yourself mentally. You have to know it. You have to know you. You have to know yourself. That's how, when I hear that statement, That's how I take it. It's just not like I got to know myself. So my name is, and I'm not my name. I have started saying that too. I'm more than that. I'm not my name.
Right.
It was given to me, right? So this is what you just to your point you were just saying about. It was given to me. My name was given to me. I didn't name myself. Okay. So this is what I'm saying. So from the very beginning, you have been indoctrinated in something. It started from the moment you came out the womb.
Right.
So, but yeah,
So,
knowing yourself, I think is really know all about yourself.
and it goes back to the principle, the saying you hear in alchemy, know thyself and thou shalt know the gods. If you don't know yourself, how you all these gods and deities that people talk about, how are they going to really connect and know what they're about when they're looking at it from an external aspect? It just doesn't add up. So if you use the formula, what I always talk about, working in the process of mastering yourself spiritually and mentally, emotionally, okay, physically, and then financially last. The problem is people get on the path and they go reverse. They're dealing with, or they're trying to work with all this nonsensical shit right out the gate. They're working money magic and sex magic, and they're doing destructive magic, trying to destroy people and get back on people, which always fails because they're fucked up themselves, because they don't have an understanding of themselves. They hadn't did the work that needed to be done first to work on themselves, to get themselves right. And then they wonder why their world gets turned upside down, because they're all fucked up. But again, they still looking at it externally because they think there's something external that's causing this and creating it. No, there's nothing external causing it. It's just you're not recognizing it. You're not seeing the root of where it lies. So if you're working destructive magic and you got all types of personal issues, your life is a hot mess on a financial level, your personal relationships with family, friends, and loved ones all fucked up, your living situation or your personal life is a hot mess, all of those things. You didn't address any of that, but you're launching spiritual attacks on people. You're trying to do spell work and do love work. You're trying to do money magic. And then you go work with our energies like Kali. You go work with energies like Sekhmet or Set, and then you don't realize the turbulence it creates in your life because you didn't understand what the fuck you was working with. And this is what happens. And I keep telling people, step one, you gain knowledge of self through shadow work, through understanding yourself. I keep saying it, how many times I gotta say it? Without that root, it's like building a house. Without a foundation, the house is gonna fall. It's gonna crumble. Okay? You could say, look, you can take the approach. I'm gonna come in off the gate. I'm gonna start working all this dark man. I want to be a vampiric master. I want to astral track. You want to do all this shit, but you don't want to get your shit right though. That you don't want to do.
Oh, why?
Look, people, you can't hide in the spiritual system.
Everybody wants to be Guru Shantae, Guru, Joseph, some shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody want to be. They don't want to start at the foundation. They don't want a foundation. They already got their pie in the sky. They on the
that's
the
because
floor.
we live in a society that promotes, I want everything now. Everything fast money, quick money. I need it now. Everything in minutes. Unfortunately, that's not how this path works. Okay? And you've never heard me promote it as a snap your finger fix all. Anybody that tells you that is full of shit. Okay? Nothing is achieved on this path without doing consistent work. I don't give a fuck who you are. Yeah, I know there's gonna be people out there say, oh, I'm so fucking deep and heavy. I just do everything and everything. Well, I don't believe that shit.
I get results all the time.
I don't believe it. Okay? Yes, and regardless, you could say, well, that's your personal opinion. You damn right it is. And that's a personal opinion that I stand behind. It's bullshit. Okay? Because anybody who does not approach this with practicality knows there's always certain levels of struggles and obstacles you will deal with. The difference is when you become equipped, when you have knowledge of self and you become aware, you now have the tools to deal with those obstacles where before you didn't. So you get consumed by your chaos when you have no knowledge how to make order out of it, right? That's what working with Set really represents, right? Not I'm working with Set Typhoon to do a destructive curse on somebody. Come on, really? Really? But then I'm looking at you and you're a hot mess, like hot
If you're
garbage.
coming in at the gate and that's your focus, there's something wrong with you.
Well,
That's crazy.
that brings up another point,
That's
right?
crazy.
Then there's these other group of people that I know that makes me laugh. When I say I know, these other circles of people that you run into, okay? They always seem like they're doing attack work. And again, to Raven's point, ask yourself this question. If all you were doing is doing protection work and launching attacks on people, what does that say about you? What does that say about you? That means there's something is not right with you. There's an energy that you're projecting that is not right. Because if you got, look, there's an old adage, you need to have some enemies. Because one, if everybody loves you, there's something wrong. And if everybody hates you, there's something wrong. So it kind of should be somewhere in the middle. You should have some enemies. You should have some haters.
I know I do.
We all do.
I'm quick at the mouth.
But when you're consumed by dealing with the haters 24/7, then there's something bigger going on. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's something huge going on, and it's internal. It's usually some fucked up characteristic you got, or some warped understanding you got that's creating that energy to gravitate towards you. You got to figure what that is. My V, what's going on? My V, I want to make sure I understood. You said in your last video you moved to Georgia, right? Are you in Georgia or are you in Florida? We don't even know where you're at. So I don't know if you're listening. Type in. I think you said you was in Georgia, right? Just want to make sure we understood you. Yeah, you get the point. That's how you got to look at this thing, right? The well-balanced practicing black magician adept, he or she has a good grasp and an understanding of all of these energies. Okay, I got you, Miley. Thanks. And knows when to call upon and use them in the right situation and scenario. Right? I've always said, when understanding the satanic ingredients to black magic, as put in the Book of Belial in the Satanic Bible, I always refer to that because even though personally the Satanic Bible itself is a bit outdated because it was written for a specific time period back in the 60s and 70s, but there's some concrete information in there, regardless of what path you're practicing, that can be utilized. And I talk about that, or I have talked about it many times. So you have to ask yourself, the timing factor is key. It's what you're doing the right time. Meaning, if you're working money magic or you want a brand new Benz, but your house is in disarray, your relationships are in turmoil, maybe the timing, that might not be what you want to work on at the moment. Because you can't open yourself up to receive what's rightfully yours until you've gotten your shit together. That's how this works. I don't care what anybody tells you. Anybody can tell you anything otherwise. I'm not talking about the person, yeah, well, I know somebody that just out of the gate, they did this. Yeah, I'm not talking about, I never say you couldn't get quick results out the gate, but I guarantee you over a long period of time, you don't. That I'll put money on it, okay? That's the reality. So anybody that really has an understanding of this path is going to tell you for what it really is. Anybody that's promoting gimmicks and hustles, they trying to sell you shit, tell you they can do this for you, fix this for you. Well, you could be a fool and go waste all that money and do that. Or you could figure out how you can do it for yourself. Okay? Because see, the ones that tell you that that's not possible, they're afraid that there might come a point or a day and time where you don't need them no more. You ain't got to pay them to do shit for you because you figured it out for yourself. And this is why all those old ways, Luciferian energy is about creating your own path to self-mastery. It's that fucking simple. I don't know any other simplistic way to put it. But you can't be hooting and hollering, I'm on the occult Luciferian, or whatever title you want to give yourself, and you are still running around in a frame of mind of worship. You still think there's some spooky force going to come back and fix all this shit for you. Not going to happen, people. You're wasting your time. All right.
Thanks.
I think we should go to the chat. I'm going to step away for 1 second. So make a little.
Chatter ratter. So Marvin, you out of here, girl. Well, hope it was a good move for you. You so deserve it. Oh, what the Kentucky did I do? All right. Up to the tippity top. And hello, everyone. Hey, Yvette. If you're still here, y'all. 305. It's the 305 Capricorn because 305 is in Dade County. Is that why? Let's see. It's a hard habit to break. I have to keep reminding myself that is within me. Beautiful souls, I agree. It is a hard habit to break. And you do have to keep reminding yourself. And I do a lot of work to help break those old habits and old ways of thinking. So let's see here. All right. Let's see. It's in a virus of dead cell. I know. I went back to the top.
All right. So what we got?
This one's the first.
All right. So good comment earlier by Beautiful Soul. It is a hard habit to break, what we were talking about earlier, to make that change.
And a song in my head, won't you know every time I hear it?
And what happened to the
minimize?
No, I was just keeping. I don't think they're gonna come.
Nah.
You'll find yourself even over time, because you got to remember this. However old you are, let's just say you're 42 years old, okay? And let's say you came on this path 2 or 3 years ago. So you have 39 plus years of indoctrination that has to be weeded out of your system. So by all means, it's not going to happen overnight. And you're going to have your periods where you struggle, where you have your successes. And it's an ongoing process. But as you become more consistent on this path and in your work, trust me when I tell you, you start to catch yourself when it does happen. That's what starts to happen over time, and you address it. You correct it by addressing it and making the change. So by all means, and that's a very good point by Beautiful Soul, it's not an easy thing. It is a habit, right? And habits are what we also analyze through shadow work. What habits, character traits, behaviors do I utilize that could be detrimental to my personal spiritual growth and evolution? That's part of shadow work, identifying certain habits and characteristics you have, right? And this again goes back to my point we were just talking about a few minutes ago, the importance of having knowledge of self. Because again, I use that example, you identified straight to the point that habit is something that needs to be addressed. In a sense, it's a problem. So that's, again, to my point. Ichigo Uzumaki says, isn't a virus a dead cell? Well, yes and no, because it also makes cells mutate, right? And this is what can cause a virus. It kills the original cell, but it mutates it into something else. Again, I don't know if that was in reference to what we were talking about earlier, but I think, again, what we have to focus on, yeah, we do need to have the general understanding science-wise, but when we're talking about what's going on right now, there's just a lot of sketchy shit out there.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
certain things don't add up. Let me explain this. If I didn't explain this, I don't think I explained this last time. I think it was last Friday or the Friday before. They basically psychologically fuck with your head when they do these press conferences. They did one, I think it was last Friday or the Friday before. I think it was the Friday before, where the vice president, right, they were doing a coronavirus briefing. And let me show you how they fuck with your head. Now, you got to look at it because, remember, we're observers, as I said. I'm watching the podium. You got to pay attention to the setup, where people are standing, what people got on, their mannerisms, how they move, because it's all a ritual that they're doing right in front of you and you're not paying attention to it. So if you look, in that particular press conference, you had Pence and his posse, that lady that's always at the press conference, their staff, and they all didn't have any masks on, right? Then, this one I believe was the last press conference Fauci did, because Trump's again trying to silence him, which they're both in cahoots together. But anyway, then you had Fauci with the Dr. Redden dude, the doctor of the CDC, his crew on the right, they all had masks on. Now, keep the game now. You're watching this play out live in front of you. You got the whole crew on the left, maskless. You got the whole crew on the right wearing masks. Who the fuck positioned this? That's number one. Number two, Pence gets up to the podium, paints this rosy picture. Everything's going good. States are reopening safely. Americans are doing a great job. Let me show the mind fuckery. Americans are doing a great job in protecting themselves. Painted this wonderful, beautiful picture. He steps down from the podium. Watch the ritual. Here comes Fauci, steps up. He has the mask on. He pulls it down. Now you're looking to the right. You're saying, wait a minute. Rosy picture. He just said everything was great. And nobody on the left is wearing a mask. What this does to your subconscious mind, it creates confusion. Now, Fauci gets up and says something completely different. Oh, I'm concerned. Oh, we opened too early. Oh, we're not taking the necessary precautions. Oh, we're going to be up to this. Now we're getting gloom and doom after we just got peaches and roses, okay? And then he puts the mask up and he leaves. How can you all be part of the national task force and you come out there and you ain't even on the same page? Because it's purposely done to subconsciously stamp confusion. Now you got people, why are you seeing all these little incidences on the news with people going off about wearing a mask? Because they want to send out signals to create confusion, because you got those who refuse to wear a mask. So this is all part of the experiment. Those who do wear the mask, what helps them with the other part of the experiment, right? And then you have Black Lives Matters, and then creating all the racial divide to keep you distracted from really what they're doing. Because if you remember, for about 3-4 weeks when a lot of that protesting was going on, it's like almost the virus didn't even exist anymore, right?
Sure didn't. After it's over.
Now that it's calmed down, now it's gloom and doom again. Look how all the cases sprung up. Now ask yourself this. This is fishy as fuck. If you remember when it first popped on the scene, the Northeast was getting bombed hard, right? Whatever they were working up there, it faded out. It didn't take out what they thought it was. Now, all of a sudden, I find it fishy that all of a sudden it's the South and the Midwest and the West states, right? Immediately after the riots and protesting has kind of simmered down, which means they took that period of break to regroup and re-strategize what they're trying to accomplish. But you're so busy getting caught up in your emotions with this racial shit, right? Playing into the hands of all this Black Lives Matter nonsense, thinking that this is, look, and let me make this clear. Black lives do matter, just as all lives do matter. That's not what the issue is. The issue is it's being used as a screen to hide behind for a bigger agenda. I find it hard to believe when this is an organization that's funded by Elon Musk, by Cisco Corporation, George Soros, all these people and there's others I probably forgot. Why would they really have an interest in investing and funding millions of dollars to this organization if they didn't have their own personal agenda? Okay? These are the same people that are responsible for a system and a society and a justice system and an economic system. The reason why it's in the condition and the very issues that this organization is protesting, they're being funded by the same people that keep it going. I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense. But we don't stop and think like this because they want you to get caught up in your emotion. So once they start mass publicizing a police shooting, you start to feel, you get all up in your emotions, right? And now you're distracted and say, good. So now what they're doing, the program and the experiment is to control the way you think, act, talk. They want to know every little spending habit you have. They want to know the places you frequent and you visit. They want to know every single cent you spend and where you invested in. This is what global dominance and control is. You could call it the New World Order. A lot of us were teaching about that years back. It's nothing new. It's just you're alive to see it happening in front of you. So my question is, what are you going to do about it moving forward? Is your Ogun and your Shango and your Batala going to change it for you? Is all your marching and protesting going to change it for you? Or is there this power we call sorcery, witchcraft, and black magic that we have the ability to all tap into and make a real change? It's in spiritual power, people. Before you can fight a physical war, you must address it spiritually first. How many times I got to say that? Any great culture, civilization, before they went to war, a major battle, they reenacted a spiritual ritual first before they went into battle. Problem is, they got us all going into battle and we ain't tapped into our spiritual forces. So what we're doing is committing self-suicide. Okay? As I said many times before, going years back, it's like going to a gunfight with a butter knife.
I say they took over the real power and left you with the weak one.
Mhm.
You're thinking that weak one is the way to get to where you want to go. It's not. They didn't usurp you of your own shit.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay? They didn't took your stuff and gave you something weak. That's crazy. Kentucky.
So yeah, but good points. All right, what else we got? Oh, there we go. All right, so next question we got. I know GD, well, I know goddamn well Farrakhan know what the deal is. My dad's still believing and doing. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've talked about for years. There's a lot of things Farrakhan says that he's on point when it comes to current events.
Sorry.
When it comes, no, just open the door and see if.
I heard a beat.
No, it's too early. But just double check if you open that, see if there's any, that gate came up. I just want to make sure that gate didn't come up. There's a lot of things that Farrakhan says, again, dealing with current events, the condition of the world, politics, society. He's on point with it. Probably a lot of the things I don't really agree with is his religious ideology. I think it's a little bit outdated again and a little bit too extreme. But remember, this path is about you nothing there, right? This path is about what you take what you can get from something. It's not about, pointing out what you don't agree with. So by all means, there's a lot of things that Farrakhan says that make sense, and there's a lot that don't. Okay. Sleeping Energy 45. I'm not sure if I understand your question. Maybe you could type something in further down. I don't want to misinterpret it and answer it wrong. You said, I thought if one God existed, other gods exist too, vice versa. I'm not sure what you mean by that. When you say if one God exists, then all other gods exist too. Like, what you're saying emerging from that one God? Again, I don't want to interpret. Maybe you could type something down a little further if you're still here. Before I don't want to waste time trying to address it if I'm not understanding it. All right. Cosmic Mirror says, when infected, a host cell is forced to rapidly produce thousands of identical copies. And that's what I was talking about, mutation of the original virus when not inside an infected cell or the process of infecting a cell. Yeah.
So a little more further information on a virus. What else we got?
Let's keep going down.
All right, so Ichigo's Mike says, I heard from Dr. Africa and Jennifer Daniels that a virus cannot replicate or even move of its own volition, so is therefore dead by definition. Well, that could be. I'm not a doctor, so I couldn't say. I'm not sure if they showed medical evidence or testing to prove that. So I wouldn't promote that because I don't have any documentation to support that. Now, maybe they showed documentation and what you saw. I probably wouldn't promote it unless I had, when we're dealing with science and the medical field, we have to be careful. And I'm familiar, right? And I'm familiar to a degree with their work, but I couldn't speak on that. Really, in essence, it's irrelevant to me because where you should be at with the understanding of it. But if we're talking about basic science, I can't say that that's true or not because there is medical science to suggest otherwise, and I can't even say if that's true because all the bullshit that they got going on now, it's hard to detect. Well, not really, but it makes it on the surface hard to detect what's reality and what's not. So, yeah. But it's a good point. What else we got? Yeah, there was some dude in here. There's I laugh when these people come in here with these blankless avatars. There was some dude in here earlier. He's not, I removed him from the room. Some dude going by the name of Stanley Berg talking about he hopes the coronavirus kills him. It's like, dude, get a life. Go find another channel to be an ass clown.
It was hurting the message. So he couldn't do nothing but clown.
All right, Cosmic Mirror says, I'm a rebel. I haven't worn a mask, or stayed home, social distances. Nah, I'm gonna reach for the blunt. Okay, that's personal choice. If that works for you. Ichigo says, I went home to San Francisco to visit last week. 95% of people in public wore masks, alone in their cars, even people. Yeah, that shit kills me. And I talk about that all the time. I don't understand. And down here in South Florida, you see that in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. How many times I'm driving and I look over and I see some fool in the car by themselves, windows up, AC cranking, and they're wearing a mask. Ooh. But what that does tell me is the fear that some people have. That is just somebody who is fanatical.
It's not only just fear, their compliance, how compliant they are.
Yeah.
They don't think, they feel, so a lot of people feel good because they got that mask on their face. They feel like, I got my mask on. So they're going to walk and have their little mask on to show you. Yeah.
The only time I put it on is because it's a mandate here in the county where we live.
Go into somewhere.
If I go into a store or something, that's it. Now, speaking of the gym, I was in the gym earlier this morning. Now, again, for those who have Planet Fitness memberships and they're all over the place, they have a simple process. You have to enter wearing your mask, which I do. They take your temperature, and once that's good, you can take it off. I take it off. I walk in because, again, you can't enter without it. I want to go exercise. I want to go in the gym. They take my temperature. I take it off. But I watch people, how the fuck do you do cardio? They're wearing a mask, which is not healthy for you, and they're doing
breathing in carbon.
Right, and they're doing cardio exercise. I just don't get it. But that, again, it shows that control, that how it's easy to conform certain people. Now, again, I would only recommend you wear it if you are in an area where, unfortunately, if I want to buy something, I got to put it on. But as soon as I leave the store, that shit comes off. I ain't wearing that shit outside in 90-degree heat, breathing that shit in. I mean, come on, we just got to use common sense. Just use common fucking sense. And as I said many times before, you either have it or you don't. You can't teach people common sense. That's not something that can be taught. You either have it or you don't. That's it. There's no fine line in between. All right, what else we got?
This is a gypsy mermaid. Oh, hey, gypsy.
Yeah. Okay, what we got? Gypsy Mermaid says, I was walking into the UPS store and had my scarf down. I don't do mask, I do scarf. Well, they started yelling mask. Yeah. Yeah, just you got to be careful where you go.
Just put it on. I don't need the drama. I need to get in, need to get out. So I throw it on, and then when I'm out, I'm out. It's not that deep, because you're going to visit someone else's establishment.
Yeah, and I think Juju Cakes hit it on point with her comment or his comment. I'm not sure. It's not that everyone is compliant to the mask, but it's mandatory in most workplaces now. And that's true.
And they just enacted that in Palm Beach County, where in the workplace now you have to have it on. That's crazy. It's all Kentucky. Sit there with a mask on my face all day.
This is an interesting comment by Gypsy Mermaid. If you book an Airbnb, they ask you to participate if you experience racism. They got movements going. It's all over the place. Yeah, they want to put it in your head. It's fake.
Wow.
It is. It's fake solidarity. That's my whole point. Everybody has this false, fake concern now, all of a sudden, because of what took place the last couple of months. Everybody's being phony. You understand? None of this shit was important before. Now ask yourself this. If George Floyd incident never went down, would this be going on? All this fake solidarity? Hell no. Nobody would be saying shit. None of these people would be changing their way. Look, I saw something today that was straight fucking ridiculous. If it's not the sports teams changing their names because it's racist, and look, some people may not agree with this. This might piss some people off, okay?
Oh, wait. Before you get there. So now they're changing their names like when before, 5 years ago before, when native tribes was asking them to change their names, they said, fuck off. But now they're going to change it.
I personally don't think that there was intent personally to use like the Washington Redskins. And then I'm going to talk about real quick about the Atlanta Braves. And then the Chicago Blackhawks, the hockey team, just came out and said something. I don't think they used those titles because it represented a warrior type of figure. They never used it in a mocking or racist way, right? Now there's been pressure on and off for years, for an example, with the Redskins to change their name, right? But I don't think they sat down and chose that name as a mockery, because they say, well, even the Seminoles and the Brave, when they do the chop, that's disrespectful. I don't. It's a warrior call. It's about combat, right? Now you can interpret that a million different ways. So here's what's going on. The Redskins now were told by FedEx and Nike that if they didn't change their name, they were not going to be sponsors. Well, that's a big problem, because FedEx is the name of the field that the Redskins play at. So now they're looking at changing their name. Now the Chicago Blackhawks and the Atlanta Braves came out and said, we're not changing our name. And we do work with the Native American community. And the name, the Braves and the Blackhawks name was not used as a derogatory thing. It was actually used as something to represent a symbol of power when it becomes to being a warrior and athletic. So you can look at, what I'm saying is, perception is a motherfucker. You can look at this a couple of different ways. Whatever your stance is, you're entitled. But again, I still think this is all distraction. It's all to keep your mind off of what's really going on. So now you got those teams that they're not changing their name. And then here's the most ridiculous shit that I saw this morning to show you how out of control this shit is. A group of workers at Ford have demanded that Ford stop making police vehicles for the police. Stop it. Okay, stop it. Ford basically said hell to the no-no, to the no-no, to the no-no-no. Really? Is this the superficial bullshit that we're tapping into? What is next? Angel's Food Cake's going to be taken off the shelf because it's racist, because it's white and it's called Angel's Food Cake? Is that next? I mean, this is how stupid this shit is getting. And I say stupid in the sense because it's all a distraction to keep you not focused on really what's going on. Really? You're going to demand Ford Motor Company to stop making police vehicles? That's hilarious to me. Come on. What is this change really about? Is this about stupidity? Where is the power in any of this is my point. Let me say it again. If you want change, you want to redo the justice system, you need to get black judges, more black judges on a federal, state, and local level. You need to get more black police chiefs. You need to get more black senators and congressmen.
Not cool.
Right. More black CEOs. This is where the power is, people. If we ain't got people
Not
in
yes men.
exactly. Not Clarence Thomas, not them type people.
Yes woman.
If we don't get that established, there is no change. Okay, that's my whole point.
All right.
What else we got? Oh, that's a good point too by Ichigo Uzumaki. He said you run into more cool cops than asshole cops, and that's my whole point. In every walk of life, every profession, you got your good people, what people classify as good anyway, and you got your jackasses and your idiots. That's in every walk of life. But this is why I said earlier, I'm not down with that whole defund the police shit, because that's not the solution. And I know defund the police doesn't mean completely eliminate them. It means taking a lot of funds away from them. Look, just another article that came out today. New York City had to stop taking resignations from police officers because the resignation rate since this whole George Floyd thing went down has gone up 400% in the state of New York. 400%. They can't keep up with the amount of officers that are putting in their resignation papers. What's the plan to counteract that? You're hooting and hollering. You wanted to get rid of the police, so it's starting to happen. You're getting your wish. I don't see no plan to replace it. So what is this going to turn into? The Wild Wild West? We all walk around policing ourselves and vigilantes, and we just start shooting and kill each other? That's what they want. That's their goal. Don't let them fool you. You need the right police. Okay, and if you don't trust the existing police, I got no problem with that. But if you don't have a plan that's going to counteract it, then I can't even listen to what you're saying. It's pointless. I don't even want to know. Okay, that's how we have to look at that. All right, what else we got? All right. Yeah, Mystic Moons. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there on that burning ancestral money nonsense. Yeah, it's just a joke. It's pure comical. I don't even waste my energy with it. All right, what else we got? Finish the rest of these questions. Yeah, so there's a personal belief. Billionaire mogul says, always use real money, low. Shit, smoking weed is burning money. Don't be cheap. That's true. Okay. And then another Mystic Moons follows it up with the people doing the ritual are still broke. And that's my whole point. Listen, I can tell you this. If you really understand the dynamics of how this path works, and you have and create the right formula for yourself, I can tell you finances will be at the bottom of that list. Okay? Trust me when I tell you. A lot of the things that you spend time and energy chasing are not as relevant when you understand what's going on and what being on this path is really about. Okay? All right, so this is a good point by Mystic Moons. I have noticed that working with certain energies, the main reason why I'm not getting results is because I have no control of thought. Well, maybe for the moment you don't. You do have control of thought. It's just you got to do work to discipline yourself to get that control. Step one is stop saying to yourself you don't have no control. Because through repetition, you reprogram the subconscious mind. You become your thoughts. So when you're constantly repetitively thinking or saying something, you become what it is you're saying and what you're thinking. So that's step one. And then obviously it gets a little bit more detailed from there depending on the situation. All right, what else we got? We shot out my pay earlier.
Change.
Yeah.
That one of exercise. I like that. She's absolutely correct. It's a lifestyle change.
Well, even this path in general is a lifestyle change because it changes everything you do, the way you think, the way you perceive things, the way you act, behave, the way you respond, how you live your lifestyle, the decisions you make, all of that is affected on this path. So it is. Mike's World says, do you know how to put your intentions in a energy ball and send it out to affect someone? I can make the ball, but the rest I'm lost. It just depends on the system that you're using. There's actually a multitude of ways. Again, I don't know what system of magic you're using to do that.
Hit them up, canoe19 at
send me-
gmail.com. That's how you answer that. That's too involved.
Yeah, send me an email. It just depends on, again, what you're using. What happened?
You did the super scroll. Go back up. Right there.
Right here?
Damn. Right there. There you go.
All right, what else we got? Kayla Z says, so true, constant doing attack burgers. Yeah, it is. If you're doing it all the time, something wrong with you. Okay, there's a disconnect within yourself that's bringing that energy to you. If you're constantly at work all the time doing that shit, something's not right. You need to get that shit checked out, really. What else we got?
Hi, Dee Dee.
Hey, Dee Dee, what's going on, Dee Dee? Hey, man.
Mommy, you got my number around?
I said she got a good signal today.
Need some more. You got my number, girl.
Mystic Moons is asking you, will you be doing any videos on your channel in regards to oils that can work Luciferian energy?
What? I'll be doing a whole lot. To answer that question. Let's see.
This is a good comment by Dakar. Were you done answering that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. A whole lot.
Dakar, the Blue Geek. I feel like it's the great mindfuck of 2020. I agree with this. Pandemic, protesting, BLM shit, 5G, money shortages, election. It is. And that's exactly what it is. It's a mindfuck. It's a distraction. It's all part of the plan to get you off your game.
Yeah, I like that, Dakar, because you're right.
Good point. Dee Amos says they don't like you either. It's the elites. That's all this is about. Now you know this. Did you guys just see also the report that came out with that paycheck relief and the loans to small businesses? And they just released the list. You see all the people that got majority of that money? Okay, this didn't make any sense to me. One, most of these congressmen and senators, all Trump's in his inner circle, they received millions of dollars from that money. This was the one that blew me away. The talk show host, Dr. Phil. Yes, Dr. Phil, who has 2 production companies. Out of that stimulus money, he received $7 million of that money.
We keep talking about those gatekeepers.
Right.
I need to understand that.
I thought this was about rebuilding and keeping the small businessman and woman in America in business. What the fuck does Dr. Phil? Right. What the fuck does Dr. Phil need? $7 million? And he ain't even a real fucking doctor. I don't even know why we call his ass that. Why is he getting $7 million of that money? No, he's not either. No, just because you get a certificate from online that you took a 6-week course, and then they send you a nice little cute certificate that says you're Dr. such and such, that doesn't make you a doctor. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But why did he get $7 million of that money? That's just fucking ridiculous. Okay. Okay. And then it turns out just last week, his son purchased, now mind you, cash, a $10 million mansion in Beverly Hills, cash. So this confirms that's where all this shit is about. It's about the rich getting richer. The only people that got bailed out in that stimulus was the rich people, the rich folks. If you go look at the list of the senators and the congressmen and the big business moguls, entertainers, it's you see what's going on here, right? Nobody's talking about that, but we're caught up in all this racial stuff that they're distracting us with. We should be creating an outrage about that. Wait a minute. $7 million to Dr. Phil, really? If I was one of those people that had one of them small shops or businesses, family owned and operated, and I didn't get none of that shit, I'd be mad as fuck. Straight up. But we ain't talking about that. But we want to talk about, let me not get into that. It's going to piss people off. That's gonna piss people off. Let me leave that one alone.
Let's see.
What else?
That's right, Misty Moon. Nobody talk about them court cases, young lady. Not at all. And there's several ones that's going on. And there's mute. Why they're mute? What are they dealing with? Okay.
Yep.
Because people are not doing their research in regards to that.
And now the Supreme Court ruled today that they sent, you know, they've been trying to release Trump's taxes throughout this entire, well, end of last year going into this year. Now they have sent it back to the state of New York and saying that New York has the right to get those taxes. So this is going to be interesting. Wait till you see all the fuckery that's uncovered in this. Wait till you see all the shady tax filing. And he's going to show you how the rich keep staying rich and how they can violate tax laws and work around the system. Whereas me and you who own a business, if we don't follow everything to the letter, our ass gets shut down. They take everything. I'm trying to tell you, man, this is about global control. If you go back to videos, going back years, even people that took classes before I was doing this shit, I told you there's going to become a time where there is no middle class. Middle class is non-existent. There's rich and there's poor. And that's all they're trying to do right now. You either got money or you don't. All right. Now, what else we got? And that's true by Young Bumpy. I wonder why America has the most K. Well, we know why. All right, what else we got? I'm just going to look for some questions. I'm going to skip some of the comments for the sake of time. This is a good comment, though, I must read, by Tamiel Sabazios. The problem is that most people want change, but they don't have the balls to face themselves. That's it. In a nutshell, they don't. Okay? And I've said for years, people hooting and hollering, they want change, screaming they want change, but they don't want to go through any struggle to obtain that change. Good question by many ways, Mystic Moon's question. How can you use Luciferian energy to heal? Well, there are many rituals. For an example, there's rituals specifically designed, and I'll give you a good book, a reference point for one of them. Richard K. Page's book. Man, which one is it? The first one that he wrote. Shit, I can't think of it. Damn.
Divine energy.
No. Google his titles. It's the first book he wrote.
I was going to go to see if I deleted all those posts.
There's a couple of rituals in his book. They're Luciferian rituals on doing healing work within yourself with the chakras. There's a multitude on the draconian path. We're constantly working with the Kundalini energy and raising that. A lot of the healing energy on the Luciferian path deals with regenerating, repairing, and making sure the chakras are functioning properly, because that usually offsets a lot of other issues within the body, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, especially when you get to the pineal, because the pineal gland, right, or the third eye, as some call it, the brow chakra, when that's calcified, that disconnects you from your spirituality on a multitude of levels. It also, no, it's the other one. I know it if I hear it. That's the second book. When that pineal is calcified, it disconnects you, and this also can transition into physical illnesses, mental illnesses, emotional illnesses, and spiritual illnesses. So we're constantly doing work in regards to that. But there's a multitude of ways. I'm gonna get the name of that book. That's a good place to start.
I thought I was going to look to see if I had it on the
It's Luciferian. I know it if I see it. Just go to Amazon and Google his books.
What do I have to do with that?
Because it'll come right up.
It's really easy. No, I can't see it in the background because all the books was in the back. So
That picture,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. That was a quicker check. I'll do it. Okay. Tell me what to do.
And this is a good comment too by Dakar the Blue Gate. Respect every man and woman that can do the damn job and change the world no matter what color. Shit, if you're a beast at your talent, get on board. How hard is that? I agree. I don't even need, there's nothing even to add to that. Enough said. Mystic Moon says, alter ego. There you go. It's Yeah, the book by Richard K. Page is Alter Ego. Richard K. Page. That has, towards the end of the book, there's a couple of healing rituals with the chakras. It's a really good book. Mystic Moon says, no one wants to talk about how systematic racism also affects white working class as a byproduct through classism, e.g. redlining in the banking structure. That's true.
Don't you know, that's very true. Because I've said this, like where my mother lives, that area, it's like a lot of areas out west were once all white owned. Then, you know, black folks started moving out of the lower income houses, started buying property, and there you go. And for a good number of years, that whole area was mostly black folks from wherever they're from, America, Caribbean, wherever, was a black community. In the last 5 to 6 years, you've seen a lot of Caucasians come back to the neighborhood, mixing in with that thuggish ruggish bone, okay? So she's right about that. They coming back because they can't, they too being priced out.
Okay, then we got, who's this fool here? Young Bumpy. Yeah, young Bumpy. You too deep. That's what it is. You too deep for us.
Say we ain't deep.
Yeah, we ain't deep. He's seen one video. Go watch some of the other videos.
See,
on
like
the
y'all
channel.
using satanic energies to stay on topic. Do you read the title, dumbass?
He too deep. He too deep for himself.
Oh yeah.
He know everything. Once you enlighten us.
So special, so special, so special.
Yeah, let's for a minute till it gets ignorant. Why don't you break down to share with everybody in the chat what is Luciferian energy to you, and then we can build a discussion from there. Why don't you go ahead and do that? Let's see. Always all these idiots hide behind avatars and a keyboard. Let's have a build. We could shift this if you want.
True.
In your words, so we have a building point since you so fucking deep. Because I'm gonna show you how you ain't deep. Explain in your words your understanding of what Luciferian energy is. We can shift the whole narrative real quick. We'll wait for a minute. Well, the keyboard gangsters.
And remember what the topic is.
Oh, I remember.
I guess he don't know how to read.
I remember what the topic is.
He hung around long enough to make it to the bottom of the comments. So he didn't listen to the whole thing.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
If not, that
Type
looks like
yes to Mystic. She's asking. See right here.
yeah, that's the correct book, Mystic Moons. Alter Ego. Richard K. Page. So we'll wait. If not, that pretty much brings us to the end of the questions. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to see if Frumpy Dumpy, whatever the fuck his name is, Young Grumpy, whatever the fuck his name is, can build and enlighten all of us to what Luciferian energy is, since he's so fucking deep. Let me entertain myself with this. Still waiting. Nothing. As usual, keyboard gangsters. Still waiting. We'll give it another minute. Just to entertain myself because I'm bored. Let me get some peanuts here. Waiting, young Frumpy Dumpy.
Frumpy Bumpy.
Let's see how deep. Enlighten everybody on your understanding of Luciferian energy.
We don't understand.
I just ain't deep enough. I apparently ain't deep enough. I don't know. So enlighten me, man. All right. Anyway, don't see nothing happening. All right, real quick before we break out. Don't forget, those who are on the Patreon page Saturday, tier 3, 4, and 5. If you need to reach me, you got the email. Check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/Beniti. You need to hit me up for a reading or a consultation. Send me an email. In the email, please include your days and times you are available and the time zone you live in, so we can coordinate a correct time that works. All right. Other than that, we will see everybody probably sometime next week, whenever the next,
See you when you see you.
and we'll get at you guys then. You guys be safe. Do what you need to do, and we will talk soon. All right. Frontal blessings to all.
Deuces.
Oh, hold on. Stop the live stream.